here we are. We're live with Ashley Lee. Ashley, thank you for coming into our studio here and being a guest on Cutting Through the Noise. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we were just getting into some topic of conversation about freelancing, and I wanted to pause and say, wait, let's hit record because this sounds really interesting. You were talking about bringing people on and potentially growing a company and the pros and cons of that. So I guess for those to start, can you introduce yourself and what it is that your superpower is?
My name is Ashley Lee, and I'm a freelance motion designer.
Freelance motion designer. What does that mean for folks who are thinking, motion designer? Does that mean you design GIFs?
GIFs.
Or GIFs, yeah, however you pronounce it.
The never-ending battle. So I animate still graphics and bring essentially graphics to life. Do anything from 2D animation to 3D animation to visual effects, compositing, green screen, tracking, rotoscoping.
What is rotoscoping?
Rotoscoping is where you essentially cut out live footage.
Interesting. Okay.
So you have to go normally frame by frame.
Wow.
And
time consuming.
Yeah, if you wanted like text behind a person.
Yeah.
You have to cut the person out or cut the arm out if you want the arm to go in front of it, and then you have to put the arm back on top.
And I'm going to attach Ashley's portfolio to our YouTube video here today and to our podcast show notes because, you reached out to us, Ashley, and just said, hey, I'm kind of new to Missoula, and I was blown away by what I was seeing. I'm like, I've never seen, motion graphics that look like this before outside of national television commercials, and it sounds like you have some experience with national television commercials, so we don't have to dive too much into that, but it's just I was really blown away by the work and said, you got to come in and talk to us about sort of your design process. But before we do that, can you talk about, you just moved to Missoula, you got here in October, and you're you're freelancing. So talk about how that's been treating you and what's been great about it, what's been tough about it.
Yeah, totally. I just moved here from Chicago. Me, my husband, and my daughter came out here about 2 months ago. So far, we love it. But that's where you see a lot of stuff in my reel. It's things that I've done in Chicago and clients that I've worked with. I was full-time in Chicago. I wasn't freelancing. So a lot of the stuff that I've done was from different – I worked at a sports marketing company. I worked for McDonald's ad agency for North America. And then I worked for an editorial house. And all those spots I was a motion designer. So I got to work with a lot of great clients and just really broaden my skill set and develop and just own in on certain areas that I wanted to make better.
Cool. Yeah, that's anytime someone goes freelance, it feels like you're sort of stepping off of a cliff when you come from a full-time position. Did you have some of that?
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't say that I'm at like full-time freelance or I have all this work coming in right now because I also have a 2-year-old daughter at home.
That keeps you busy, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So it's been nice though, just moving out here, just being able to spend more time with her and getting freelance projects as they come in and not being just overwhelmed with so much work to do right off the bat.
Yeah.
And kind of get acclimated to Missoula and still have time to find like things that this great city has to offer.
Right.
Which has been awesome. And
it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
Missoula's and you'd been here before, obviously, before you moved here.
Yeah, we came to check the area out.
Okay.
And we were looking to leave Chicago for probably the past year and a half.
Yeah.
It's just, we love it. We're from there. But after having our daughter living in a big city, it was just, I don't think the right move for us. We wanted to kind of pick a spot to raise her and just spend more time on family relationships and just doing more things together.
Getting outside in the great state of Montana.
Yeah.
There's worse places you could land. So for our listeners who are marketers, aspiring graphic designers, what are some of the ways when you approach a new project that you at first think about the overall design process. Can you help our listeners understand how you go through the start of a project?
Yeah. I would say for me personally, it's like this epic battle always. It's never an easy process. I actually don't have a design background. I went to school for post-production and was just specifically focusing on like editorial and motion graphics, where they don't teach you a lot of like graphic design. So that's always been a struggle for me when it comes to if I have to design my own work. And I think that's a struggle with a lot of motion designers, at least some of the ones that I've talked to, that either they don't have the graphic design background or don't realize how important having a graphic design background is. Yeah. So that's something that I've been really trying to own in. But, and that comes over just time and seeing how art directors are designing the boards you're given or to that extent. So when I get a freelance project, or it depends. Sometimes the design's already laid out for me. I don't have to. I have to think of animation. That's it.
Like a style guide already exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's great if a style guide's given.
Sure.
And sometimes they'll have like a designer pretty much design the main pieces that I need in Illustrator or Photoshop. And then I can import those into After Effects.
Got it.
And break apart the pieces I need to.
That's where you spend a lot of your time, After Effects?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm always in and out of Photoshop, Illustrator.
Sure.
And I do some Cinema 4D work as well.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to if I was to create a project from scratch, normally the client gives you a brief or gives you some sort of idea what they want. They'll sometimes send a few examples. Oh, here's an example animation that
here's
we saw.
Here's something that I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty helpful.
Yeah, that is. And sometimes the client wants to go like exactly in that direction. And then sometimes if you go in that direction, they want to like, well, no, we weren't meaning exactly.
Which is one of the, that's it's not a new hurdle that a freelancer experiences.
Yes.
Is a client that may explain expectations but have sort of different expectations when the result is given, or
totally.
So managing that is, the key to any great freelancer is navigating those requirements.
You kind of have to try to like learn to read the client and and it's hard because I'm remote. So a lot of the things that I do is just via email or via phone call.
So you're reading text and not getting visual cues and physical cues. So have you found that the work in motion graphics is increasing, the demand is increasing?
Totally.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I mean, social media.
People want graphics for posts, and
yes,
posts have a life expectancy of a couple days, and so the demand is increased.
Yeah, it's definitely, quantity, I think, over quality, but which it's good for us in this industry. But you have to design and animate things for not only Facebook and then Instagram, but then Instagram stories and then Twitter. And so there's just a lot of different mediums, YouTube videos, YouTube commercials.
Yeah.
I haven't actually had a lot of requests for broadcast work, which is kind of funny. I've done a little bit of broadcasts, but or that has made it on TV. But most of the stuff is all for social. I mean, clients want to catch
people's attention. Yeah. It's competitive. I mean, that's where people are spending their time.
Yeah, and video, grabs people's attention.
Yep.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Well, like I said, your portfolio is, one of the coolest I've seen, at least in terms of just eye-catching motion graphics. It's super cool. What advice would you have for someone who's just getting started?
To keep learning and keep pushing yourself, because I think the one thing that everybody thinks going into like school or something like that is that school's going to teach you to be a designer, and it doesn't. It teaches you some of the basics. It might teach you how to click the right buttons, how to work on teams and other things, but the people that I know in this business that are successful at what they do is they are so highly motivated and highly skilled.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with, I mean, working. It can be a very tough industry to work in sometimes. I mean, that might mean you're up till midnight working on a project to meet a deadline, or doing tutorial after tutorial just to improve your skill set. If you want to learn, okay, I need to get better at keying.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that I think you have to constantly do and keep up with the new technology that's coming out, the new design trends, there's so many things that you need to stay active in the industry. It's not just like a job that you go to 9 to 5 and then you leave at the door.
Mm-hmm. You're always learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should want to always do it. Most of the people who are in this industry want to constantly be active in it.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool thing.
Yeah. So what sort of thrills you about motion graphics?
Well, gosh, I had a hard time deciding. This is kind of off topic, but I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to go to school for. And I actually went to school a little later in life, but I was working for an ophthalmologist for a while. I was an ophthalmic technician. Then I wanted to become like a geologist, and I just constantly am like eager to learn, and I'm always wanting to try new things. And then my husband kind of introduced me to this realm a little bit because he's actually in the industry as well. And I just like fell in love with it, and I just love the technical aspect of it, as well as there's a creative side. There's some things you can dabble in After Effects, and you can just dive so deep into expressions, into all this other stuff that's just some people don't even understand. Or you can use it as, hey, I have this really awesome creative design, and I just want to, have some subtle movement to it.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty cool, and I think that's what attracts me most to this approach. It's like you can animate something however you want. You can have it be physically accurate. Oh, a ball bounces. Do I want it to bounce like a real ball? Do I want to pretend that it's like light as a feather and it's
weightless?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's just
really cool. It's on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
can make it however you want.
That's amazing. And when you think about the skill and this demand that we mentioned before, you combine those two things, and you can carve out a pretty nice life and a pretty nice living for yourself, where you have some time freedom. You can work when and where you want, and in some cases you can charge what and how much you want. In some cases.
I mean, that's another thing. I feel like a lot of people starting out sometimes like undervalue themselves and don't know like how much they're worth and how much they should be charging and things like that, or they're weary to be like, well, are you sure I should be asking for that much money?
Right.
And I think the best conversations to have with other maybe motion designers you might know or something is about asking people like, how much do you charge for your day rate or something like that, and having open talks so you can get to know what's going on in the industry. So there's people that are undervaluing themselves, and everybody's kind of like on the same page.
Yeah.
Per se. Sorry, I forgot the beginning of that.
No,
question.
that's good. I was just more of a statement that you're in high demand, and so you can really, own your path, which is a position that not many people can. But you recognize that, okay, you're in this job, you might not like it, and so you need a skill to get out of it. And that's when you started teaching yourself, it sounds like, After Effects and all these types of design programs.
Yeah, and I did end up actually going to school for this.
Yeah.
But
you worked overtime to learn it.
Yes.
It wasn't you're going to school like you mentioned, and you get out of school and congratulations, you're a master designer.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen that way?
No. And sometimes you're going to even have to take jobs that might not fully align with what you want to do. I mean,
Sure.
I took a job as a sports highlight editor as my first job out of school.
Really?
And that was I wasn't a motion designer. I was editing in Avid.
Yeah.
But you still learn stuff from those types of jobs, even if it's not where you want it to be, even if it's just a step in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, where the highlight begins, where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's an important skill in cutting and editing. And, well, they just rebounded the ball down here. So is that the start of it? Like, no one cares about that. They want to see the slam dunk. Like, let's see it.
And the connections you make.
Right.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that most of the freelance work that I've had here in Missoula has been from Chicago.
Cool.
I just recently had the opportunity to reach out to companies here because I want to work on local stuff as well.
Yeah.
And because it's not always all about like, oh, the big name brands. Like, sure, I have some McDonald's in my reel and stuff like that. But most of the time, the fun stuff is coming from smaller companies who give you more free reign to animate and create and design how you want.
Do cool stuff.
Yeah. So I just recently, like I said, reached out to some of the companies here, and I've actually heard back from quite a few of them.
Yeah, cool.
But I mean, connections is like the biggest thing, and just stay in touch with people because there's going to be somebody who knows somebody who might be looking for a motion designer.
Right.
And that's
so
how
key.
that's how I've literally gotten my last 2 jobs, full-time jobs.
Really?
Is pretty much word of mouth and, hey, this person's looking for somebody.
And you know your stuff. I think that always helps.
Well, so your reel is supposed to be the best of your work. That's it. I mean, so your reel is something that should be worked on all the time. It's never, ever finished. And that's something that I've been working on for at least the past 5-6 years. And you should constantly be taking out pieces.
Even adding
that's because people are going to, when you send your reel out, people are going to look at it, and normally within the first 30 seconds are going to normally in the first 5 seconds can decide if they want to keep watching or not.
Right.
First 30 seconds, they're going to decide, okay, this person's good. Like, sometimes they don't even have to finish the reel.
Right.
They
First
know what you
impression,
can do.
Yeah. So
you want to put your best pieces of work up front. Grab the viewer's attention. I mean, editing a reel is kind of its own craft as well.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It's an important clip.
Yeah, I mean, it's more important than your resume.
It's everything.
For this job, because
nobody cares if you got a 4.0, right? Like, can you design? Sure, okay, you're hired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, this has been really awesome. I think some of the insights for any aspiring graphic designers or motion designers out there, they'll have a lot of takeaways here.
Yeah,
so hopefully. I can see already many titles that will name this one. Like, oh, want to get involved in motion graphics? Here is the episode for you. So, Ashley, we really appreciate it. Any last pieces of advice for folks looking to get involved, or how can people find out more about you?
Well, right now, I mean, my reel's attached to this.
Yep.
So feel free to take a look at my reel. Feel free to reach out to my email address, ashleylee0508@gmail.com. And I would just say the most important thing is to constantly go after it. And nothing's ever going to come to you. People don't know if you're a motion designer if you're just sitting at home.
Right.
Work's not going to come to you. You have to be proactive. You have to seek it out. You have to let people know you exist.
Go do a podcast.
Yeah,
Right.
So yeah, and just keep learning.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.